The case function allows us to enter multiple Boolean expressions separated by the argument of what to return if the previous expression evaluates to true. Only the argument for the first expression that evaluates as true will be returned. If none of the expressions return true, an empty value is returned. Let's take a look at an example of the case function. The case function allows us to do data normalization, where we can evaluate multiple conditions and take the value based on whether those conditions evaluate to true or false. In this search, we're searching across two different source types, and we are computing the total revenue, getting a count of the radio frequency ID numbers, storing that in a field named staff count, and splitting that by this location field. Now we'll notice in our results that the location field is not exactly consistent and normalized. We can see that we have various different ways to specify these locations with not necessarily a consistent naming convention. Now, what we would like to do as an alternative is use the case function of the eval command to normalize our data. With this eval command, we are creating a new field called the location field. We're essentially overriding the contents of the location field, not necessarily making it a brand new field, but taking the pre-existing field and providing it new values. If the location field within an event is equal to BOS or Boston, location will take the value of Boston. If it has a value of LDN or London, it will take the value of London, and same thing for San Francisco. This will standardize the location values to these three specific places, and we can then see the total revenue along with the staff count for each one. Now from here, notice that we are normalizing the location field before transforming the data. Whereas in our previous search, we were using the stats command before the eval command. Normalizing after transformation and calculation of statistics won't necessarily generate our expected desired results because we are transforming these fields within the stats command and grouping by location. So before we even use that location field, we'd like to normalize its values first, which is why we are preceding the stats command with the eval command. We can now see that the values of that field are being normalized to these three different values of Boston, London, and San Francisco. One thing to keep in mind about the case function is if none of the cases, meaning none of the Boolean expressions, return to true, then this field will essentially take a value of null. So if we would like to have a condition that always returns true, then the very final clause will be something like 1 equals 1, or in this case, the true function, which always returns to true. So we will take the value of location.